Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah alladhi wakafa wassalatu wassalamu ala man la nabiyya ba'dah. Amma ba'd. Respected listeners, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ismaeel Nakhuda here with the first reading of the book Irshad al-Muluk. Irshad al-Muluk is a book written in Urdu. Originally there was a book called Risala Makkiyah, or the Makkan treatise, written by a scholar from Damascus called Sheikh Qutbuddin Dimashqi rahimahullah ta'ala, who was from the 14th century, and he wrote this book in Arabic called Risala Makkiyah, which is very popular within the ulama and the Sufis of Indo-Pak during the 17th, 18th, 19th century. Mawlana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi rahmatullah alayhi was asked by his sheikhs, his grand sheikh. So you had Sheikh Nur Muhammad Jinjani rahmatullah alayhi, whose khalifa was Sheikh Haji Imdadullah Muhajir Makki rahmatullah alayhi, who was the sheikh of Mawlana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi rahmatullah alayhi. Sheikh Nur Muhammad Jinjani rahmatullah alayhi had another khalifa. His name was Hafiz Muhammad Zamin Shahid rahmatullah alayhi. And Hafiz Zamin Shahid rahmatullah alayhi, he asked Mawlana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi rahmatullah alayhi to translate this book from Arabic into Farsi, or translate certain excerpts from it, certain chapters from it into Farsi, which Mawlana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi rahmatullah alayhi duly did. Later on, and he named this translation with his slight commentary here and there, he named it Imdad al-Suluk, taking tabarruk and barakah from the name of his Sheikh Haji Imdadullah Muhajir Makki rahmatullah alayhi. Later on, Mawlana Ashiq Mirati rahmatullah alayhi, who was the student and also the murid of Hazrat Mawlana Gangohi rahmatullah alayhi, translated Imdad al-Suluk into Urdu, and he named this Urdu translation Irshad al-Muluk, again taking tabarruk and barakah from the name of his Sheikh Mawlana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi rahmatullah alayhi. Anyone connected to the silsila and the khanqas of Hazrat Mawlana Zakir rahmatullah alayhi, Hazrat Shaykh al-Hadith Mawlana Zakir rahmatullah alayhi, would know that this particular kitab, Irshad al-Muluk, would often be read aloud in gatherings, in majalis, within the khanqas and the zakr majalis associated with Hazrat Shaykh al-Hadith Mawlana Zakir rahmatullah alayhi. In fact, in his preliminary practices, the Mamulat Parchi that he used to give to those people who were bayt to him when they got bayat, it mentions explicitly inside the encouragement to read the Fadail kitabs of Mawlana Zakir rahmatullah alayhi, Fadail al-Quran, Fadail al-Hajj, Fadail al-Dhikr, Hikayat al-Sahaba, Fadail Sadaqat, Fadail Zakat, etc. But also for those people who have taken dhikr and also bayt to a sheikh but taken dhikr from him and fulfilling the mamulats, they were also encouraged to read two further kitabs. One is Irshad al-Muluk, also known as Imdad al-Suluk, and the other one is Ikmal al-Shia. The ta'lim that we'll be doing inshallah will be of Irshad al-Muluk, which is the Urdu translation. I'm going to be reading the Urdu, translating, explaining. It's pretty self-explanatory, but inshallah I pray to Allah Almighty that He makes this a source of barakah for me, a source of blessings, and also a way to acquire His ma'rifat inshallah ta'ala. Would also like to say that Irshad al-Muluk is probably it's a shortened, it's a translation of certain chapters from Risala Makkiyah. It's not a complete translation, but it's extremely beneficial. Anybody who attends these lectures inshallah will probably acquire some barakah, some blessings inshallah, and also deepen the understanding of tasawwuf. But the reality is tasawwuf is something that has to be practiced. It's something that has to, it comes from the heart to heart. It doesn't come from just listening to lectures or reading around the subject, but it actually means, it requires a level of indulgence into this science to actually understand it, acquire it, and understand it as the Mashaykh understood it. So Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Oh, the other thing is that Hazrat Shaykh al-Hadith Mawlana Zakir rahmatullah alayhi wrote a very lengthy muqaddimah, introduction to Imdad al-Suluk, extremely lengthy. It's absolutely beautiful. In his muqaddimah, he also mentions the book itself, he mentions the halat and the condition and the biography of Mawlana Sheikh Ilahi Rahmatullah Alayh. He explains Hazrat Gangohi Rahmatullah Alayh and his life story, and then he introduces the book Risala Makkiyah and the reason why Mawlana Gangohi translated it into Farsi. He also provides some detail around the life of Hafiz Amin Shahid Rahmatullah Alayh, Haji Imdadullah Muhajir Makki Rahmatullah Alayh, and then thereafter there's a lovely muqaddimah by Hazrat Gangohi Rahmatullah Alayh, which he wrote in Farsi, which Mawlana Ashiq Ilahi Miradi Rahmatullah Alayh has also translated. In fact, it's translated, but I'm not going to go into that muqaddimah. And the other thing that Mawlana Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayh also includes is a little short risala, in a short message in Arabic on what tasawwuf actually is in the writing and understanding of Hazrat Gangohi Rahmatullah Alayh. So we understand from this that Hazrat Gangohi Rahmatullah Alayh was somebody who's immersed in tasawwuf himself. Anybody who's been aware or who's read his biography, Tazkirat Rashid, would understand absolutely that Mawlana Gangohi Rahmatullah Alayh, the bedrock of the Deobandi Maslak, was somebody who was immersed completely in tasawwuf. And tasawwuf and Deoband, tasawwuf and the Mashaykh of Deoband, tasawwuf and the Mashaykh and the ulama of Deoband go hand in hand. It's something that's lazim, malzoom, something that's compulsorily associated with their personalities. So alhamdulillah. Anyway, begin the kitab. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Suluk se murad, the meaning of murad. The meaning of suluk. Suluk tariqat se murad. Suluk ke tariqat se murad hai tahzib akhlaq. The meaning of suluk ke tariqat, traversing the path or traversing the tariqat, is tahzib akhlaq, is to reform one's etiquettes and akhlaq. Ke bukhal, hasad और रिया और किबर और खुद नुमाई वगैरह तमाम अखलाक ज़मीमा दूर करके सखावत, इखलास, तवाज़ु, तज़ल्ज़ुल, आजिज़ी वगैरह जुमला अखलाक पसंदीदा हासिल करे. That person removes the reprehensible traits and then he replaces them with the positive qualities and positive traits, characteristic traits. So for example, one removes stinginess, opposite, and replaces it with generosity. Hasad, he removes hasad, jealousy, riya, ostentation, kibr, pride, self-focus upon oneself, and he replaces this with generosity, ikhlas, sincerity, tawadhu, humility, tazallul, being mild and meek, ajizi, again being very soft-natured. And so he replaces the reprehensible traits with positive traits. This is what suluk-e-tariqat means. And then he continues and says, Taki wusul ilallah ki istidad hasil ho, so that one develops the capability of reaching Allah Almighty. Wusul ilallah, wasal, joining and connecting to Allah Almighty. So you remove the reprehensible traits and you replace them with positive traits. This is what suluk-e-tariqat is. This is what the tasawwuf actually is. And so that one is able to reach Allah Almighty. और तरीक़त सूफिया की इस्तिलाह में मकामात और मनाज़िल अल्लाह के कता करने को कहते हैं. And according to the terminology of the Sufis, it also means something a little bit from a different perspective, is to traverse and pass through the different stages of reaching Allah Almighty. And the first darwaza, the first door, uska pehla darwaza, the first door towards this is Shariat. The Shariat is the first door. That adhering to the Shariat is absolutely paramount. And this is a theme that you will find within the writings of Hazrat Gangohi Rahmatullah, within the writings of authentic Sufis. And it's a theme that you'll find within the writings of Sufis from bygone days and also within the ulama of Deoband. That Shariat comes hand in hand with Tasawwuf. There is no Tasawwuf without Shariat, and there is no Shariat without Tasawwuf. They both go hand in hand together. And the first door towards Suluk-e-Tariqat, according to this book here, is that one adheres to Shariat, which is absolutely of absolute importance. खुलासा यह है कि शरीयत का ताबे बनकर हक ताला की इबादत में लगना. The summary of this is that one should indulge in the worship of Allah Almighty whilst following Shariat. और पुख्तगी इस्तिकामत के साथ रिदा हक का मुतलाशी रहना, and with firmness and steadfastness seek the pleasure of Allah Almighty. This is what tariqat actually means. So this is a theme that appears constantly within the writings of our Mashaykh, that Shariat is of absolute importance. The second subheading to this, Ibtidai tariqat ke mana. So he has another second subheading, is the meaning of the beginning of tariqat. There's a subheading after that which says Nihayat tariqat ka mana, that the meaning of the end of tariqat. So इब्तिदाई तरीक़त का माना, how does the तरीक़त begin? और इब्तिदाई तरीक़त यह है कि शरई रुखसत और सहूलत को छोड़कर मुस्तहसन अफ़आल को अपने ऊपर लाजिम कर ले. Mawlana Gangohi Rahmatullah writes that the beginning of tasawwuf and tariqat is that one abandons the dispensations provided by Shariat in different ahkam, and he follows everything that's mustahab, everything that's preferable, and he makes this compulsory upon himself. So not only are you adhering to Shariat as much as possible, but you're actually following that which is superior. So for example, there's a time after the farz salah of Dhuhr, for example, you have the 2 rakat sunnah mu'akkada, then after you have nafal, so you also follow the nafal as well, and those sunnahs that are mu'akkada and ghair mu'akkada, you follow all of them, you don't take the dispensation. And he gives an example of this. Masalan, nawafil ke bila uzar bed kar padne ki shariat ne ijazat di hai, that the Shariat has given permission to perform nawafil sitting down. मगर मुस्तहब यही है कि खड़ा होकर पढ़े, but preferable and what is mustahab is to offer it standing up. बस अहले तरीक़त को ज़रूरी है, so the people of tariqat, it's necessary for them कि औला, that which is superior, अफضल सूरत इख्तियार कर, that which is superior and preferable is what one adheres to. So not only are you following Shariat, but at the same time you're following what's actually mustahab, mustahsan, what's awla and afdal. Nihayat tariqat ka mana, and the meaning of tariqat, the end of tariqat. और निहायत तरीक़त के माना हज़रत जुनैद रहमतुल्लाह अलैह ने ये बयान किए हैं, and he says that the ending of tasawwuf is, as explained by Sayyiduna Junaid Baghdadi, the Sayyid al-Ta'ifa rahmatullah alayh, who says कि बिदायत की तरफ लौट आना तरीक़त कहलाता है, that returning to the beginning is तरीक़त. और हज़रत जुनैद रहमतुल्लाह अलैह के इस कॉल का मतलब बाज़ ने ये बयान किया है, and some have explained the meaning of what Sayyid al-Ta'ifa Junaid Baghdadi rahmatullah alayh said as bidayat se murad haq ta'ala shano ki zaat hai, that the bidayat actually means the personality and the essence of Allah Almighty, that one returns to Allah Almighty. That's the end of tasawwuf, which makes sense, क्योंकि वही हर शे का मस्तर मुब्तदा है, because he, Allah Almighty, is the source and the beginning of everything. Wahi marja muntaha hai. He is he is what towards which everything returns, and he is the final goal. Chunanche Quran Sharif mein Allah Almighty mentions this in the Quran Kareem. He says, Ilahi yarjul amru kullah, that towards him, Allah Almighty, everything returns. He also says, Ilahi turja'un, to him you shall all be returned. He also says, Ila rabbika muntahaha, and it is to your Lord that the ending and the finality is. So Junaid Baghdadi's call, he's saying that the nihayat of tariqat, the end of tariqat, is to return to the bidayat, the beginning. And what he means is, so one explanation given here is that bidayat of tariqat, to returning to the bidayat means to return to Allah Almighty, because he's the source of everything. So that's one explanation. Mawlana Gangohi Rahmatullah says, "But Salik ne jab bitamamihi, when the Salik in his completely अपनी ही बिदायत यानी ज़ात हक़ सुब्हान व तआला की तरफ रुजू कर लिया तो निहायत को पहुँच गया." That when he's returned to the bidayat, यानी the essence of Allah Almighty, then he's reached his end. और दूसरा माना यह है, there's another meaning also, कि मुरीद जब अपनी बिदायत की तरफ लौट जाएगा तो निहायत को पहुँच जाएगा. That when the murid returns to the murid's bidayat, his beginning, then he's reached his end. And the explanation of this is, यानी माँ के पेट में जब कि हक़ ताला ने उसको पैदा किया, that he reaches his condition as it was when he was in the mother's womb when Allah Almighty created him. Surat ata farmai, Allah Almighty fashioned him, रूह फूंकी, he breathed he inspired the soul into him. तो बजुज़ हक़ ताला शानु के वहाँ सूरत में इसका कोई निगहबान या मुरब्बी न था. And aside from Allah Almighty, there was none within the womb that was looking after him and nourishing him at that moment in time. There was only Allah Almighty that was looking after him. ये कमाल फ़क़र और एहतियाज और इज़्ज़ व कमज़ोरी की हालत में खुदा पर भरोसा किए हुए था. The baby in the womb, from a fetus, from the stage of being a fetus to becoming a fully grown baby just prior to birth, the baby is in a complete situation of faqr, in need, ihtiyaj, in need. Ijz, he's helpless, kamzor, weak. And the baby, he or she, will be in a situation where they're fully reliant on Allah Almighty. Khudu wa tawazu wa tazallul ke saath muttasif, there's so much humility, so much tranquility, so much softness and meekness within the child, within the human being at that time. Hasad wa kina, khud pasandi, takabbur wa ghaira sifat mazmuma se bilkul munazzata. He was pure from all the reprehensible traits such as jealousy, kina, having hatred, khud pasandi, thinking great of himself, pride, etc. All of those reprehensible traits he was totally free, or she was totally free from that. Or jumla uyub se mubarra, and they were also free from all the deficiencies in one's character. Khudi ki nafi tak se be khud o be khabar tha. He's completely, focusing on himself. He didn't even know what all these reprehensible traits were. He was totally oblivious to all of that. बस इसी तरह सालिक जब अंजाम का अपनी हालत ऐसी बना लेगा जैसी कि शक्ल में मादर में इब्तिदाई हालत थी, तो निहायत को पहुंच जाएगा. Hence, in this way, when the one traversing the path, जब अंजाम का अपनी हालत ऐसी बना लेगा, when he makes his condition right at the end, in the way it was when he was in the womb of his mother, then he has reached his nihayat, the end. और ये हालत सूफी का कमाल है. And when he's reached this condition, this is when the Sufi has reached perfection. और इसी मर्तबा में कमाल अब्दियत और आज़ादी इस शवाइब नफ्स हासिल होती है. And it is this stage when he is at the perfect level of abdiyat, slavery, or slavehood to Allah Almighty, or azadi is shawaib nafs, and he's freed himself from the aibs and from the deficiencies of the nafs. And when he's reached this stage, then he's at his perfection. Subhanallah. So, in summary today, we understand that Mawlana Gangohi Rahmatullah alayh, in this translation of Risala Makkiyah, he mentions what the meaning of suluk actually is. Then he goes on to explaining the beginning of tasawwuf, and he emphasizes that Shariat and adhering to the Shariat is of absolute importance. Not only adhering to the Shariat, but also adhering to the mustahabbat and those actions that are mustahsan, that one adheres to all of them and follows all of them, fulfills all of those ahkam and injunctions that are not just wajib, farad, but also mustahab and mustahsan. Then he explains what the end of tariqat is. So what is the perfect Sufi? The perfect Sufi is that Sufi who's actually reached Allah Almighty. And he explains the call of Sayyidul Taifa, Sayyiduna Junaid Baghdadi Rahmatullah. He says that when the murid reaches the bidayat, then he's a perfect Sufi. And he provides two explanations for this. One is that a person reaches Allah Almighty. The bidayat is Allah Almighty because He's the root of everything. And the second explanation is that a person himself, he returns to how he was when he was a fetus and a baby in the mother's womb. That he's completely oblivious of the dunya. He's completely reliant on Allah Almighty. All the negative traits found in humans, he's absent and free from all of those, and he has complete trust and reliance on Allah Almighty. And when the Sufi reaches that stage, then he's reached perfection. So subhanallah, I think from today's ta'lim we understand two things. Number one is Shariat, the importance of Shariat, but not just Shariat, but also fulfilling those ahkam of Shariat to its highest pinnacle. Not just fulfilling the fard and the wajib, but the mustahab and the mustahsanat. We understand that. And the second thing is that what is tasawwuf? Tasawwuf is reaching Allah Almighty. Tasawwuf is correcting the self and fashioning one's temperament to be in line with Shariat and to reach Allah Almighty and to have complete humility, removing the reprehensible traits and replacing with the positive traits. And we understand that from today's ta'lim. There's an indirect, subtle indication towards those people who think that tasawwuf is all about dancing and jumping, or tasawwuf is all about miracles, or tasawwuf is all about gathering money, or tasawwuf is all about wearing certain attire, walking around in a certain way, lots of people following you and having a lot of clout. That isn't what tasawwuf is. Tasawwuf is simply about reaching Allah Almighty in the best possible way. That brings me to the end of today's ta'lim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I pray Allah Almighty gives us an understanding of what we've read. And there's a very famous dua that our Shaykh Mawlana Abdul Hafiz rahmatullah alayhi used to often make dua. He said, Allah muftah alayna futul arafin al-maqboolina indak al-mahboobina ladayk. Allah Almighty accept that dua. Bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.